Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Golden Guys. It is Tuesday. We're excited to be here talking about the Golden Age comics for the night. But we have our Sophia tonight. I'm going to introduce him first and have him take a little bit of hosting job over here. So, all right, Legend. How are you, my friend?
JD, it's always good to be in the presence of the nature boy, JD Flair. Man, always coming at you live here. Man, we got tonight. We got DS Comics in here, the number one guy you need to go to if you're into any of those freaking EC horrors and some of them Harveys. Did Harvey have any horrors?
Harvey had a few horrors. Yeah, they had some good ones. I like the Harvey horrors. Chamber Chills, Tuna
yeah, with the blonde chick holding the wine glass.
Classic.
Dude, I love that. Well, we got Knights of Old Michael, one of the best. He's got some awesome books you may have never seen before, but you're going to see him here tonight live on the Golden Guys, man. And JD, we got a lot of folks in the chat. Let me go over the chat real quick. We got some people like our brother from another mother over there in the Discord chat. One of the guys who loves and one of our top moderators here, and it is Nagora Jinshu. That's a good drink right there. Nagora Jinshu Sake from the Murai family. But we got Chris Barrett in the house, and he's saying 316, the Cosmic King just hit the chat. We got Ricky Markstadt in the house. He's the one that created our Discord. We got my main man, Matt, known him for 10 plus years, Mr. Gretzky 9966. Comic Mag Musings is here. Great to see you, Comic Mags. We got Chad R in the house, Comic Core Chad, the awesome guy you'll see on Friday night, and one of the dudes behind Mainframe Comic Con here. We also have the star of Modern Men, the star host of Andy Comic Thursdays. We got Comic Man Andy. And dude, we have Jambo. Jambo is one of the best Jambo comics is in the house as well. Jambo. And Comic G-Man. Damn, the G-Man is here. I hadn't seen him in a while. So JD, the chat is popping. 17 watching. We are freaking live.
Nice. Thank you very much, Legend. I love it when he does that. That's why he is the great legend. Now, let's do some show and tell. And I think Legend.
I just wonder, since Legend's so he's like a naturally born wrestling announcer.
Hell yeah!
What wrestlers would we be?
Oh, would y'all be? All right, hell yeah. I'll tell you who y'all be. Now, this guy right here, that's going to be the nature boy, JD Flair. This guy down here, man, he's all about the dark GA. He's got to be none other than the Undertaker, Mark Calloway. And down here, I don't know, with Michael being a Wonder Woman fan, I'm thinking Charlotte Flair. Best women's champion. She's won the most titles. She's almost, I think she's close to probably beating her dad as far as number of world titles she's had. Of course, she's like she actually wrestles better than the dad. The dad just made it look easy. But I'd say Michael would be Charlotte Flair. But a good male wrestler, Michael, man, he's got to be the $1 million man because he's got some $1 million looks. And he's got some $1 million looks.
That's good. That's fun. So show and tell time. Who wants to go first on you guys? I don't have anything to show.
I got some stuff to show here. Let me take it out of the bag. I'm going to be taking this. I'm going to be putting these. I'm going to send these in to get recased, and you'll see why. This one was a great deal from mycomicshop.com. It's one of my favorite covers of all time, and I've just never really have looked it up because it's not a key, but it's like a key to me because it's just so damn cool. But it's Marvel Family issue number 2, and it's the got the Lieutenant Marvels and old Dudley, old Uncle Dudley right there. He's playing the piano, and you got old tall Billy, you got Hillbilly over here, and then you got Fat Billy, and of course you got old Freddie Freeman and Mary Marvel in there. And the cases, I don't know if it was they lowered the price because the case has some scuff marks on the top. You can't really tell from here, but whatever they cost to get them re-slabbed, I'll do that.
I think it's about $15.
$15. So that's pretty good. This one here, I've been waiting to get this one for a long time, and I suck at remembering what I paid for it because sometimes I got the money, I got the cash, I just buy them up. But this is Captain Marvel Adventures 22. This is the first part of the Monster Society of Evil serial. This was the very first serial in comic books, man. This thing ran like 20 plus chapters. It was a little bit of a story in the back of the book, and then it just continued on and on and on, and you find out you get the first appearance of Mr. Mind in here, just his voice, but it's very cool. And it's got Hitler and Captain Nazi, and Mr. Mind, of course, is doing his little gimmick on the radio. No one knows that he's a worm yet, and he's getting all these characters together, and he's getting all these monsters together to really give old Captain Marvel a hard time. And that's a good one there. That's one of my favorites. I'm glad to get that one. And then the last one, y'all saw this. This was originally an exclusive to the Comic Core Discord channel, where you got to see this one. And then, of course, I had to share it with my Golden Guy brothers on our IG channel, our IG chat. But we finally got it, man. Chris Barrett, he always believed that I was going to get this bad boy, and I got Master Comics 21, first Captain Nazi, and the first part of the Captain Marvel Jr. trilogy story. So freaking good to have that, man. And the only thing that pisses me off about this, the dummy, it's tape on interior, cover and interior. Well, they had interior spelled wrong. There's no I in front of the N. So being like one of those OCDs, I'll probably send this in, and they should give me a freebie on that one, because that was their own fault when they misspelled the label. But it's got tape on interior, cover and interior. And I was talking to the Golden Guys in our IG chat on like the tape and everything, because I haven't studied up on books with a lot of tape because I don't have those. And basically they CGC grades like the tape isn't there, because most likely somebody was just trying to hold the comic together, and they just graded it like it wasn't even there. And a 4.0 for that Master Comics 21, where Master Comics books were they're just hard to find. And the funny thing is, to me 4.0 would probably be like a 9.8 like modern book, like to some people, because I'm all about like any grade I can get Golden Age. So I'm just happy to have that one, and I'm always on the lookout for some more Fawcett publications, JD, no doubt about it.
There you go. Good point. Right, DS, I know you had something.
Yeah, I got two decent books to show here. Let me say a 4.0 on that Captain Nazi. That's no joke, man. That book's tough enough to find, and I see lower grade copy. 4.0 is rock solid on that. That's a good copy.
Congrats, Legend, again.
Thanks, y'all, man. Thank y'all. I love y'all. I really appreciate y'all's guidance y'all give me, because I was telling folks this the other day. I was telling the Discord folks, and I told Chris Barrett this before, that, even though I've been on YouTube for like 11 years, man, I still learn stuff every day, and I appreciate the friendship I have with you guys. And I know that I can come to you guys whenever and ask y'all some stuff about Golden Age, and y'all are some of the best folks to have to keep me in the know on this stuff. So I appreciate y'all.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Well, we appreciate you too, Legend.
That's definitely bro.
All right, so I'm going to preface this one by I want everybody to remember that I got this on eBay. So I know there's a lot of eBay haters out there, especially when it comes to Golden Age. There's really good Golden Age stuff that comes up on eBay, and I am on eBay a couple hours a day. And here's a good eBay score. I think I got this for about half price. This is a very rare book. There's 30 on the census, but they don't even come up that often. I hardly ever see them. And when you do, they're beat. So there's only 5 higher graded than this. And it's a one-shot from 1952 and a killer cover. And it is City of the Living Dead.
Nice.
Woo! Shot in this 1952 Avon. This is the female Indiana Jones.
Oh, wow.
Kicking some butt against the Living Dead. Bright colors on this, nice rich purple background. some skulls on the bottom. She's got those nice 1930s pants too going on there. She's got the whip, and yeah. So this is a book. I had a 2.0 of this at one point, and I sold it, and that was about 2 years ago. And I have never seen another copy that I've had a shot at since then that wasn't higher than like a 2.0. I think I saw a 1.8 somewhere. You know, if you see a 3.0 or 3.5 of this, it's a decent copy. Yeah, 6.5. So this is just a beautiful copy that I scored on eBay. And it popped up, and I saw it as soon as it got listed, and I pulled the trigger instantly. I didn't waste any time. So I'm really, really happy to finally get a nice copy of that.
That's a beautiful looking book right there. It looks so clean. It just like real, like you said, the freaking yellow title pops on that purple color. And good God, like for Golden Age people, like that's a 9.8 in my eyes. I mean, where you're not going to find like a higher grade hardly anywhere unless you really hunt like you are Indiana Jones, you know?
Yeah. And this one on the census, there's a 9.4 out there. And I think Black Cat Collection has that. If you're on Instagram, check out Black Cat Collection. Gabe, I think he has the 9.4. After that, there's an 8.5, an 8.0, a 7.5, a 7.0, and then 2 6.5s. So pretty high. There's not a lot of books up the top of the census. And after that 9.4, it drops down to an 8.5. So yeah, that's a nice one there.
That's awesome.
eBay score. And then this one I got in, I think the day after last week's show. This was my Comic Connect win from the May auction, which I found only took 2 months. They're slow on shipping, but you will eventually get it. And this is one of the best sci-fi covers of all Golden Age books and one of the best L.B. Cole books. So it's got a lot going for it. And a beautiful, beautiful copy of this book is Blue Bolt 105.
So good.
Really presentable. Let me show you the reason.
The colors are ridiculously good.
In here, so that keeps it down. So it presents much better than a 4.5. But just bright colors and just a crazy cool sci-fi scene by L.B. Cole on this.
God, that's so freaking awesome.
And so often you find that with this green border on the side washed out or faded, and this one is nice bright green, dark bright green still. The colors are good on this, and it's just a beautiful.
What number is that? That's
105.
105. Okay. All right. Gotta make sure.
Yeah, 4.5, green off white.
50.
Yeah, and you know, I'm at the point in Golden Age where there's books I want, yes, but I don't want to overpay. I still want to get a deal. I still want like 10% below fair market value on it because they're investments and I'm putting out a lot of cash for these. So this one I got for what I paid for. I'm not going to go into that, but the very next day after I won this, another 4.5, a not as good looking 4.5 sold on the boards for 20% higher than what I paid for this.
Oh my God.
And I felt like what I got was a little bit of a good deal on it, and that confirmed that I think I did get a decent deal on it. So, yeah, a solid investment and just a kick-ass book.
Damn.
So, yeah, I really like it.
Look at that girl, man. She's like an alien, and you got that kick-ass griffin-looking dragon bird. Oh my God! It just was amazing cover. And the blue and yellow on that guy's costume. I mean, there's so many beautiful colors in that L.B. Cole cover. You got, of course, red, green, blue, and yellow. You got your primary colors there. And like Diaz said, God, that green on the side, man, you ain't gonna get nothing like that anywhere.
Yeah, and detail on the black cover on the top with some planets and some stars and a little jagged red outlining the title and the little starbursts up top with the action, suspense, thrills. So yeah, everything about this is so awesome. I've wanted one of these for a long time, and yeah, this is another one that the numbers on the census are misleading because they hardly ever come to market, and when they do, they draw a lot of interest. So I feel lucky I scored this. I don't know what other people are looking at in the auction, but I paid up for it. I'm not going to lie, but I feel like I got a deal on it for what it's worth, and especially for how good this copy looks. So,
and as long as you're happy with what you paid for it, and then of course the product you got, I mean, there ain't nothing that can, you know, you mean that's like pure gold, man. Look at those books.
Yeah, so there we go. There's books I got in the last week. So I don't get a lot of books, but ones I get, I try to make them big and I try to make them count.
Oh,
so there you go. That's what I got.
Really awesome. Thanks a lot, Diaz. That was good.
I remember you were going for one of those, I don't know, a few months ago. Is this one better than that one, or?
Which one are you talking about?
Blue Bolt.
which Blue Bolt was like?
It was a while ago, and I was rooting for you, but I don't know. I think the person, whoever bought it, just was like through the roof. It was probably.
That same book, right?
Oh, is it the same one?
It wasn't a couple months ago. You're maybe talking about Famous Funnies?
No. It was like half a year ago, but it was
time.
I remember
time
you
works
were
different in
hoping to get that
2020.
one.
Well,
I
it
wondered
works different in 2020 right now.
Yeah, it's
I
hard
was
for me
wondering
to
if
narrow
it went
down.
up in price or
I target a
not.
lot of books, and I lose 95% of the books I target because I just don't want to pay that much. I've become really stingy in my old age, and I buy less books, but I feel like I get a deal on almost every book I buy these days. But yeah, I lose all the time on auctions, and I always am pissed that I missed out on a book, and it makes it worth it when you have the funds down the road to get something at a deal that you really wanted. So yeah, I don't buy much small stuff anymore for myself. I try to stick to bigger stuff that counts, and I pick my spots. And I'll tell you, it's really worth it, the system I use, the process, because instead of buying willy-nilly or having a want list that gives me tunnel vision, I just remain open to opportunities, and I try to pick ones that are good deals, and that means I'm passing on a lot and I'm missing out on a lot, and it makes it very frustrating. And over time, though, you score here and there, and the ones you score add up to be a really nice collection, and it makes it worth it. So I'm very patient these days.
Mm-hmm. And DS, do you think over the years of your comic book collecting and investing and buying some of these golden age, do you feel like the longer you've been doing it, the smarter you've been doing? You've been getting smarter at doing this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really smarter. I'll tell you, I mean, you don't have to be smart to do this. It's not like I have some super smart, intelligent, like calculating system, but patience. I've learned patience is the biggest virtue.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how good you are in the market or how good your taste is in books or what you're going. Patience is crucial, man, and it's really tough because we want everything, and when you have money burning a hole in your pocket, man, you want to spend it. So patience is the number one trait that I have had the most trouble learning, but has paid off the most so far. And I've been doing this maybe 5, almost 6 years, maybe. Patience, I can't say it enough.
That's awesome.
Good call. I did get something before we go to something good. I just want to show it because it's kind of cool. It's different. So if everyone remembers in the 1990s, the Wizard used to get the doll if you signed in or whatever. But there was you collect them all. They came signed by the artists, and most of the artists, Larry Stroman, John Romita Jr., Klaus Johnson, but one of them was the She-Hulk was John Buscema. So
cool.
Got that one. It was hard for me. I've been looking for this doll for a while.
She's got a good looking costume on her too.
She got the Fantastic Four, so it's right after that Secret Wars whole fiasco. When Ben had to go find himself. So where were we on this one? All right, where we got Knights? Did you have?
I have some stuff.
Here we go.
So, boy, in 42, this book came out. Wonder Woman 1.
Oh, there it is.
Bang.
So I figured we could talk about the green label criteria here, because I've been kind of deep in that game ever since I started Golden Age. Because when I started Golden Age, I was like, I'm not rich, so I'm just gonna look for stuff that's no one's gonna want, incomplete, certain types of restoration that I don't mind about, and for a while, those were cheap, and after a while, I think people wised up a little bit. But you can still, I think, get a good deal. It depends on who's bidding, But so this one, it's pretty nice. It's got a weird, like black. Probably can't see it, but there's like a black kind of mark right there. But other than that, it's pretty good. I got this on eBay, and there's actually, you never know with some of the stuff on eBay, but you can get some good deals, and you can also, there's a lot of great sellers on there. So if you know who you're dealing with, I mean, it's just as good as like any established comic dealer. And this was one of them. I actually, I saw it. It was an incomplete Wonder Woman. It was missing the last page on the inside. And I was like, I have accumulated a lot of Golden Age stuff. I'm going to see if this guy, and I noticed that it didn't sell for what he wanted. And I kept messaging him, and I was like, well, do you take trade? I knew he sold a lot. So I was like, how about partial trade, partial, cash? Mm-hmm. And he happened to have a couple of books that he was looking for were on the books that I wanted to trade. So it just happened to work out. And then later on, he had messaged me and said he wished he didn't do it. But like, I had been accustomed to, ever since I was a little kid, I've always was like, somehow I noticed like, hey, if I trade 100 of these muscle men or like 100 of these crap G.I. Joe guys or whatever, I could get this amazing one, Grail piece or whatever, and
Rattler from the series too.
I've just still been doing that. So to me, that was that kind of deal, trading ton of, it was hard. It would be hard to get those Golden Ages back because every Golden Age is kind of unique, and even if it's low grade, it's the one you can find that's comparable will probably have a different type of defect that you gotta be okay with or whatever. But so I got that, and I think that was like maybe 5 years ago or something, and and we had discussed. The seller and I, and this was raw, and he had discussed that there was some restoration on it, and that's okay with me. It was a Wonder Woman 1, I wanted that, so I was happy to have it. And I was like, maybe someday I'll get a back page. It's kind of weird that the final page, like not the back cover, but the final interior page was gone. But eventually, and this was like almost 4 or 5 years after that, 4 years maybe, I finally saw an interior Wonder Woman 1 on eBay, and I bid that up. It was kind of pricey, but I bought that and ended up putting that whole, I ended up taking the whole interior out of this original one and putting the new interior, which was complete, in this. So then I was left with the original interior of this guy. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking, I was like, now I have this interior, I'm going to sell it, but there are some other green labels on eBay. I wonder if I can talk some guy down, because now I have a centerfold. So I ended up buying another Wonder Woman that was incomplete, and then using the centerfolds of the old interior that I had, and then I got my second one, and this was
damn, I love this.
And this became this became complete as well. So that was very cool.
That's crazy.
I still had the interior with no back page, no centerfold, and I sold that. That's still, the first wrap, or I don't know what someone wanted it for, but there's always someone looking for if you have a key, any page of a key, someone might be wanting it. So I sold that on eBay, and then, when I sent this one in, I sent them both in, and thankfully there's no, it was all good. But this one, despite I hate the large slab, but I can get over that. But I was expecting this to come back restored because, you know, that guy and I were talking about it, and I don't know what the mark is, or I can't remember what he even said, but it came back not restored. Mm-hmm. So I was like, because I was going to sell this to recoup back that money because it wasn't cheap to have three Wonder Woman ones essentially at once. And then I was like, oh God, it's not restored. And I was like, I don't know. I started liking it. I didn't want to sell it. So then I talked to, you know, these guys, and I was just kind of surveying all my friends. I was like, you know, what would you rather have? Like a green Wonder Woman 1 or like some of these other bigger books that I had? But I was like, you know, maybe I can let go. Because I think, you know, in the, you know, long term, a Wonder Woman, you know, unless it's like another major key, this might do better, you know, for whatever, whenever it's my time to sell or my family's time to sell or whatever. So I ended up, you know, it's kind of weird and annoying to like tie up a bunch of money in like a double, but at the same time, I think it'll probably be, you know, it'll be much easier to sell going down the line. And you know, it looks good with this guy. So
just throw some session in there.
So, that's but you know, after that though, I kind of got tired of the whole like parts game because it just sucks. Like, you know, you already got your eBay list of all the stuff you have to look for every day, and like you get the parts list, and like I'm telling you, if you're missing like a piece of a certain book, don't tell anybody, because if certain people know, and this community is kind of small, but if certain people, I mean, you know, your friends are fine, but like if a lot of people know what you're looking for, like a centerfold or a back cover or whatever, they know that you are gonna pay up to whatever your book will be worth when you're done putting it together. Yes. So they'll jack. You just gotta wait and find one up for auction, and it'll eventually come. You know, I do have one more piece book waiting in the wings, and I've already shown it, so I'm gonna get screwed on it regardless. But someday, you know, I might find a
gentle, gentlemen.
interior or interior and back cover of this guy.
Nice.
But I think I'm pretty much done buying interiors. Although, you know, if a nice cover comes up, that's as good as gold. Because, you know, it's the cover that you want to see, especially like, you know, nowadays everything's slab. So
yeah, it's true.
Anyway.
Nice.
Damn fans, where else are you going to see two freaking Wonder Woman, Sensation Comics Wonder Woman? I mean, I always said the guy that the number one fan, the number one Wonder Woman fan to me is good old Michael Knights of Old, dude. That's just an amazing trifecta.
And Magic Lasso, if he's in the chat, I hope he was here.
He's a big time Wonder Woman too.
Yep.
And you know, when you get two of the same book of Golden Age, they're never the same. Like there's always so many weird things that you would never think would be different, and it's totally like I like certain colors of that one more than the other one, and the cut and all kinds of stuff. Like they're never the same. That's why usually if I upgrade, I will keep my original until I get the new one, because sometimes you think it's going to be better, and you never know until you kind of see it next to each other. But then you run into that situation where you might not want to let it go.
Exactly. But, you know, that kind of segues right into the main topic of the night. We're going to have Legend is going to introduce this topic, and it's one that this is one where we're going to have a lot of listening as well from these guys on this panel. I'm going to say right now, listen carefully, because some of these guys that we've been talking about this, and I find it just interesting. You don't have to take the advice, just find it interesting. All right, Legend, go ahead.
We were thinking of a good topic for y'all, and I came across this topic, and I talked to Matt, Mr. Gretzky 9966. We talk about it in our Facebook chats, and we were talking about, is today, right now, is today's time period, is today the perfect time to buy Golden Age comic books? We are in 2020. It's like the freaking apocalypse, end of the world type stuff's going on. You got the COVID-19, you got freaking earthquakes, you got freaking locusts, killer bees. I'm sure volcanoes will start coming along pretty soon. But so much hardship in 2020. And along with, you look at our baby boomers that were born in the old days, like the 40s and stuff, and how, they're getting a lot older and they're coming into their 70s. And the big time baby boomer collectors, you got to think, well, is it time that they start selling off a lot of their big boy books and their Grail books, because they don't want their family to have to deal with it all, and rather just change it for cash, or put it into something simpler for the family to deal with after they pass away. And then just the fact that people are falling on hard times, maybe they got laid off or furloughed from their jobs, and maybe they have to put up some books for collateral just to pay some bills. I mean, so there's so many freaking factors. And for me personally, I've bought like 4 Golden Age books, big boys. Well, yeah, I'd say big boys to me, in the past, like, just month. And I felt like I've been getting some good deals. And, like DS said on that freaking book right here, Master Comics, man, I had to pull the trigger because I've been looking for this forever. I wanted a 4.0 or higher, and I kept trying to offer this guy who had a 4 or 5. I was offering him a good amount of money on Heritage Auctions on the make offer, but freaking dude never replied back. And that one, I was searching for that one on eBay because I couldn't find it. And whatever weird reason, it finally came back up for auction. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying it now.
Nice.
So you get that on eBay?
Yeah, on eBay.
Nice.
Master Comics 21. I'm like DS2. Usually every week, I'll check eBay for those books that I'm looking for. I have a little list of, a lot of Fawcett books and other things. So I'm always, I probably don't like look as much as DS does, but always in the back of my mind, I always have some stuff I'm thinking about. So
I've been on eBay 5 times already since I started the show.
That's freaking awesome.
I mean, this was probably my biggest eBay purchase, because I do a lot of the auctions straight up, but I don't do that much on there. And I just want to say this group kind of got me into the eBay part of it. And it was you really just be patient is right. I mean, I had this out there. I had my price. It came right to me, and I went, all right. I took it, and I showed you guys how they the other one went for a lot more. That was just a shade above grade, but I think it's been good. I think is it now a good time to be buying? I think if you have the resources and disposable income and you're comfortable with that, I would say yes. Do not sacrifice anything for the buying. But is it a good buying opportunity time? Kind of like everything in the market right now is a little uncertainty, but I think in Golden Age comics, I think there is a certainty that I do see books. I do see an entire genre, like the war and the westerns have both picked up a little bit. If you ever notice, western sales the past 2 auctions have been very high. I was talking to 2 of the auction houses this week about that, and I asked them about they say everything is slowly going up into where we're not nearing a crest. We're just going together. Everything's moving up some at a slower pace, but it's no longer like the big spike in PCH 2 years ago isn't there right now with anything else. But war comics are going up there. Then you've got the westerns, romance, and artists is big. That's the biggest thing they keep telling me right now is what's selling for them is artists. If you say just the big 4, we talk about them here all the time. Lou Fine, Will Eisner, Matt Baker, Jack Kirby. I mean, those are the ones that you're going to hear a lot of. So
I think, it's a great time to be ready, and because I've definitely been paying attention, and I don't know. I wouldn't say there's been that many great deals. Like I still feel it's very competitive for certain Golden Age books. I don't really look at. I feel like there's a lot of lot of selection out there, and especially if you're into bronze or silver, I feel like there's just tons and tons of options for you. If you want one book, you could just look forever till you find the right one and keep negotiating with whoever. But I don't feel like it's been like a bargain season or nothing, but you never know. I think it's a great opportunity to be ready. That's for sure. So stockpile that cash. And, sometimes, I don't know if you do this, DS, but like back when I was buying a lot and I was like quick to the draw or whatever, I would have all these filters on my eBay search for like, newest buy it nows, because I feel like the buy it nows are when you can get some of the best deals ever. Because if you search, sometimes it's funny.
I did.
You'll cry if you do this. Maybe I haven't done it in a while, but if you search like sold, but only by buy it now in the past like few days, you'll see. Oh my God, I missed all this.
Yeah. In like 8 months, I don't care if I missed it. I don't even want to know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that just proves like if you're quick, there's a lot of people looking. And
I'll be honest with you.
Smart, they know they're they buy it quick.
Yeah, like that.
eBay's got a lot more.
Go collector, whatever the hell, trying to figure out. I don't know if this is worth, and then you go back and it's gone.
I mean, this is the This is the thing. I mean, as much as there's new books on eBay that usually weren't ever there before, they're usually at the big auction houses. The auction houses are definitely getting ready to sell some stuff on these markets. Have you just look at their upcoming featured auctions? It is big boy book baby. It is nonstop. A lot in the Silver Age, I have to understand, but on the Golden Age side, there's some books in there that that are coming up that are high. A lot of the superhero ones, but the fall one is the big one. This is what they want to do. So I mean, that's one thing.
My view of the market is a little different than a lot of other people who are in different markets, but I am in the Golden Age market, but I'm sort of in that area where you can go a lot on gut feeling and sort of an instinct of what momentum is out there, because there's not a lot of data on the books I collect. And honestly, compared to Golden Age, the stuff I go after is relatively affordable. Now I say relatively affordable. I'm dropping a couple grand on a book, but I don't have anything that I'm dealing with that's in the $20,000, $50,000 range, like Cap One or major Timelies or big superhero stuff. So this dark GA stuff that I'm in the market with, I have three things I look for from an investment perspective on these books, and then the price is a secondary analysis. But to pick a book to go after, if one comes up or one's in an auction, for my stuff, you want rarity. Rarity is always good. You don't want a book that's plentiful. We were talking about ECs here in the chat a little bit. ECs are great books, but they're plentiful. So they don't make it great for me for investment in this market. So rarity is one, because you want to have, ideally, when you go to sell it, to have the only one on the market. And I routinely do that. The books I'm selling, I have the only one that's currently on the market. And if a couple more pop up, I'll pull it down and then I'll put it back up. So rarity. The second one is popularity. You want something super cool that people want. So there's the demand, always demand for it. This is an example of one. I get more DMs on Instagram about this book than anything else. It's rare and it's popular and everybody wants it. And the third thing is try to get condition. You want a condition, and condition changes depending on the book. But a 4.0 for this, the condition, this is a superstar for condition. Now, some books, a 1.0 might be great condition if it's just complete and unrestored. Other books you may want a 7 or an 8 or something, but you want the condition that is going to make it really desired when you do put it on the market. Because there's people looking for books like us that a book they want comes up where they're like, I really want a better copy, or I don't want a restored one, or that one there's a chunk missing. So you want rarity, you want something that has good popularity and demand, and you want something that's presentable and in good condition for whatever it is. So that's what I try to do. And then I don't have a want list. And, this came up on eBay. I'll tell you what I paid. I paid $1,500 for this. Mm-hmm. I had an offer, and this was in the last year. I think maybe 6 months ago, I bought this for $1,500 on eBay. I had an offer last week for $5,000. Somebody offered me $5,000 for this. I said, but I mean, talk about an investment in 6 months. And it was underpriced by the dealer who was listing it, not because they don't know this is a big book, but there's no data on it. And you sort of have to be really in the market to know what does this book go for. And you have to have a feel like when I see this 4.0 for 15, slam dunk. I don't need to go and Go Collector GPA to look it up because I'm wasting time to find data that's not there anyway. So that's the good thing about mine. There's not a lot. I don't have to compete with people that know the data because there just isn't any for a lot of this stuff. So yeah, if you do that and you pick your spots and you're patient, and you don't have a target price in mind, you just after a while that this is a good deal. And it might be fair market value of a book that is just the talk of the town and it's on the rise, and you get in it for fair market value and it's going up. That's basically what I do, and it's easier for me now because I know more about the books that I'm dealing with in this market. But people ask me, what do you think this is worth? And there's no data on it and they can't figure it out. Well, I mean, I sort of ballpark it. I know in my gut what I think a certain book is worth and what I can sell it for, and you get better over time doing that. So I would suggest anybody stick to stuff that you like because you'll be more interested to know about it because you'll be passionate about it, and stick to stuff you know. So stuff you like becomes the stuff you know. And once you know it, then you can start making some good profitable moves.
I got two things for you, though. You were touching that book, and it sounded kind of like
trims. Okay.
Sounded the sound of your fingers on that material.
Hey. Yeah, I think he wants to know.
Sounded kind of like a Mylar.
Mylar, well, we love Mylar.
It is not a Mylar, and I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to keep my anti-Mylar. So I'm going to show
you. Don't like Mylar. BCW Mollies. I got
I think that's what this
one. You got halfbacks or fullbacks?
That is a loud.
Yeah, halfbacks or fullbacks.
Remember that one? That was a good
one. I
one.
loved that one.
Now another thing. So that book, I could see someone paying for that because it's one of those books where, when it goes up, if there's only a couple of bidders, you never know where it would be. But if it's a dry spell in 8 months where you don't see it, someone who wants it, we'll offer $5,000 or whatever. Yeah, but some of these spikes on the war and the PCH, I feel like, that's a good book and all, but it starts to kind of reach the same price as some of the blue chippers. Say, I was talking to you about, I was like, that Chamber Chills or whatever, and maybe that's not a good example, but this is a very low grade ASM1. It's like a 3.0, maybe 3 or 4K, maybe. I don't know. But it's nice. But,
I love that.
But some of these hot books will easily jump up to 3K. And over time, I don't know. I feel like I would bet the long term on this. I would just have to.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Just curious what you guys think.
That are in my area that, we all like ASM1. It's a major key. We all like AF15. I like AF15. I'm not in the market to buy one. I could care less if I ever own one, but I won't pass up a deal if one comes along. But there are a smaller group of people that are just totally devoted to the rare off-the-wall fringe stuff. And that's not going away. Those people also want an ASM1, but there's no urgency to get an ASM1. If I put that all new, they'll put their ASM1, which is a much bigger book. An ASM1, they want an ASM1 and a 6.0 or 7.0. They'll put that on the back burner and buy my all new instantly because you can get an ASM1 wherever. So the rarity of that is lacking. Now, the popularity of it is through the roof because it's a
Yeah.
book. The rarity of mine puts an ASM1 to shame. So it sells quick.
Oh, absolutely. I think
what you're saying is, so some of those hot but rare books, the risk and reward are both high, and you don't necessarily know. Whereas these will just kind of stay in the middle and slowly rise, slowly. It's more predictable about where you could sell, what you could buy for, and the other one could be like, oh, boom, I sold it, I'm a millionaire, or oh.
Well, another thing is, like I was saying, it's not that my stuff's better investments than that, but pick what you like and get to know that. I like this stuff. I can do ASM1. I can go buy an ASM1 tomorrow if I want, but I don't want it. I'm not. It seems like work if I have to research price data on ASM1, and then when I get it, I'm totally unimpressed because I am very shallow and I just like cover art, and that's the truth. Like the ASM1 has massive historical value, and it doesn't do it for me because I just like to look at the pictures, sort of thing. When you look, I'm one of those kids that likes to look at the pictures when I read a book.
It's not as exciting. It's not as exciting as like a book that comes up once or twice a year.
Well, it's not for me.
Once you have it, you're like, I don't.
There's never not a right time to buy an ASM1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason why it's an ASM1. We're comparing it to a different time where there are eras where their ASM1 doesn't have a huge spike other than the entire market spike on that whole genre of keys. By that same era, the same 3 years, you can do whatever you want. Well, on the PCH, it's more of a rapid spike up with no push behind it of a movie or a character or a Netflix series that's going to help it. So I kind of think here's the differential of that is the downward turn would affect DS's genre less than it would anywhere else. If there was a downward turn, but the rarity of the PCH collector will never change, but the value of the ASM1 could potentially go down due to the simple ebbs and flows and supply and demand.
Yeah, and another thing is with my books, they're much cheaper too. So I'm not rich. I've gotten to the point through a lot of hustling and hard work that I can sling around multi-$1,000 books. But when you get into stuff like ASM keys and mid grades, you're talking 15, 20 grand. They're out of my range. So in a way, I feel lucky that I only like the small stuff, so to speak, in Golden Age, because I can do a lot of moves in this market, and none of them are like the biggest book I ever had would be small for an AF-15. It would buy maybe like a 1.8 average looking AF-15 would be equal to in value to the biggest book I've ever owned. So, I don't have books, but you can make thousands of dollars instead of tens of thousands, and you can do well, and you can get good, cool books. And if you're into what I'm in, none of this stuff is through the roof like ASM key. I'm lucky I don't have 15 on my want list because that thing's too expensive for most everyone.
The last 4 months or 2 months before, maybe 1 month and a half before, we had a major buying opportunity of comic art. All these artists were selling everything they had on their websites. They were building websites or going somewhere and selling them. So we were getting all the stuff that was being done right now in original art, and art came down. Now that's dried up. People have gotten money and things are going, business seems to be going back together and everything else. Their arts have just skyrocketed. It's gone the other way because they were selling the art so much, and there's not that many art guys buying, but there were art auctions every week. We haven't noticed the arts have been almost as much as the comics on some of these auctions. And I do think that's a sign that they were selling them on people that was the modern stuff and the other stuff to survive, because it's not like buying original art on eBay would be a no-no 2 years ago. Now we know the dealers are all on eBay. They're all on eBay. They need to sell. This is stuff they didn't. You used to have to go to a con and sit there and go through the pages with these people. Now you don't have to do that, So
that's true. The original art, like, it's cool and you'll start to know the dealers. Like if you go on eBay and you start seeing, just look out for some of those same names, like the Reese's Comics, My Comic Shop, Metropolis. A lot of these like big time stores are on eBay. You just have to know where to look. And another thing is check their websites as well, because the thing about it is, if you see My Comic Shop is selling a book on eBay, most likely you go to their website and you'll pay a lot cheaper, because they don't have to pay the eBay sales fees if you're buying on their website opposed to buying it on the eBay auctions.
Very nice. Brad asked about the pulp market. I'm following it pretty tightly. I've got a nice amount of pulps. Certain things are going up. Definitely quality has taken over. We used to be just getting it was there, but it was always, nothing was better than VG. Like VG Plus is considered like high grade there. And you find one in a fine condition right now. Some of those are going with well-known titles, the planets and stuff like that, the sci-fi especially, absolutely have gone up in value. But some of them, again, a lot of it pre-World War II would be ideal in the pulp market. Obviously, that's what everybody's going for. And some of that pre-World War II stuff is still out there, and you find it. It's just different, and it's really almost the dawn of Golden Age comics is in there as well. You see the character develop from there.
And like pulp and the Golden Age books themselves, they're not writing any more of those because that's in the past. So what you're collecting and what you're buying is you're buying history. And like DS says, if you pick out some of the ones that are more scarce, you collect what you like, love what you collect, invest in what you like, invest in what you love. You're going to get some freaking awesome stuff. Like his Dark GA, my Fawcett books, those are what I tend to collect. I also like Three Stooges comics from the 50s from Jubilee Publishing and St. John Publishing. Those are my favorites, but very rare books like these here. I've showed these before here on the show. These two here, they're Three Stooges issue number 2. They're not in very big. They're not in the greatest shape or anything. I haven't ever gotten them pressed or cleaned or any of that. But the thing is, they're complete. And the last time I checked, I'm sure there's more now, but there was only like 11 on the census. So if I sent those into CGC, it would be like 12 and 13 on the census. But the thing is, it's Three Stooges, second appearance of Mo, Larry, Curly in comics. But the thing about it is, it's kind of a niche market, like not a lot of people do the Three Stooges because they are so interested in the superhero stuff or more of the mainstream Golden Age,
Yeah, I think niche markets are one of those things in Golden Age comics that has certainly aroused where from out of nowhere. If you think about it, we went from being, are you just a Golden Age collector to what in the Golden Age do you collect, And we all of us collect different things. All of us do. And we all have the same passion, the same love for it. Get excited. There's some all story. That's the first Tarzan right there.
Yeah. When are you going to find me this, JD?
I'm looking, man. It's tough with these pulps. You get these pulp dealers. They
trade one of those Wonder Womans towards that.
I can find you. Be able to buy it.
Yeah.
Rick
Tarzan.
You can hit Rick up.
He doesn't want to sell that
one. He doesn't want to sell it.
But it's one of those. It's a good group to have because we just gave you guys some insight on all our own markets, whether it's me with the Jungles and everything else going on.
I used to think romance comics and PCH was niche.
Not that long ago. It's not a niche now that people are like, is that a Baker cover? It doesn't matter what the genre is.
I wonder what
I've got 8 O's of Baker Jungles that are 5 times as much as they were last year, or 2 years.
Like you said, JD, a lot of folks are going after some of their favorite artists, and because these are legendary creators in the history of comic books. I mean, there's one Kirby book, and I don't know if I should tell y'all this because I don't want any, like Michael said, you don't want to let in on any of it. But it was a coolest story. It was a story that predates Pierre Boulet or whatever his name was. It predates his Planet of the Apes story, but it's a sci-fi type story of a guy going to a planet or something where the creatures on the planet are talking and walking and things like that. And of course, Jack Kirby would revitalize that into Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth, when he went to DC. But oh man, to have that damn book, that would be so freaking
There
cool.
is a I'll have to look in my in Bookery's guide on that.
I think
'Cause
it's called Panic #1 or something.
Yeah.
Panic 1 Kirby. And the story, it's one of those comics that have a lot of different stories in them, you know, like how they normally did, like the Weird Science, or, you know, they'd have 4 or 5 stories, you know, and I love those kind of books where it's kind of like, you know, DS has Vault of Horrors, Tales from the Crypts, where you'll get like a multitude of these short, just creepy as hell stories. Same with Weird Science. I found that series, I don't have any of those, but I used to read the old Gladstone reprints, and those had some really cool Twilight Zone type stories. So I love that stuff.
Jumbo had an array of different stories every time, which I liked it. There was always the Sheena story, and then there would be a bunch of other stuff in there that would be fun. So, yep, there she is. Yep, there's Sheena.
Yeah, I'll tell you, some of the best stories are some of the Golden Age sci-fi stuff, because the art is futuristic for like late 30s, early 40s, like the Lou Fine stuff, or you know, the early Planet comics. It's futuristic from when they were drawing it, like in the early 40s, and it's got such a cool look to the art, and the names they give things in there, and the way the machines are drawn, and the stories about you know, how the different planets and stuff they're going to, and the different types of creatures, and it's futuristic based on they knew much less about the universe and were much less advanced in technology than we are now, and it's such a charming read and art visually. It's so charming to see how they did that futuristic tech sci-fi stuff way back when. You know, I think that stuff is going to remain popular, especially the sci-fi stuff. The horror stuff, you know, people like horror, and some of the pre-code horror stuff is off the wall, horrific and obscene, and there's not been anything really like it since. And it's got a quality.
Hollywood.
Wally Wood on some of those. The Jack Kirby book, it was a Jack Kirby story called The Last Enemy, and it was in a Harvey Comics title called Alarming Tales was the name of the comic. I think it only ran like 6 issues, but it's Alarming Tales #1. So if you ever find it out in the wild, get Alarming Tales #1, Harvey Comics, and just AOK the Great Legend, and I'll make a video about it.
There are keys, and there are hot dogs in the books, and whatever genre you pick, there are books that are perennial favorites, and those are good ones to go after. And like any market, there's spec. It's not based on movies when you get back in the Golden Age, especially my stuff. But, you know, there's books in pre-code horror that will skyrocket through the roof, and then they'll drop back down, and people jump on the train, and there's a FOMO for this stuff. And you got to be careful whether you're collecting moderns or Golden Age or anything. The same things apply, and you just have to sort of navigate through that. And I usually stay away from what's hot, because pre-code horror books will get hot, and you'll see there'll be a mad rush, people scrambling to get them, and the price goes way up. And I just stay out of the way, man, because if you really want the book, you can just wait after that panic dies down, because they're usually not perennial tops that are doing that. They drop back down.
I did a little research on the last auction, and the one category that climbed the most, which we never even talked about, is crime. Crime is right now #2, spiking right now.
Wow.
And spiking is at just only this past week and a half. So I don't know. It's all the Sunday night auctions and everything else, where a lot of crime books have come up more recently, because I think, and they're not as many sales. I'm not saying the dollar amount was there. It was the increase. Books that were $40 last time, and I went for $110. Books for $65 went on an auction 2 months later, while a lower grade book went for $140. You know, it all depends if that's some of those Charles Biro and everything else going on. So it's a niche that's maybe at its infancy, and just throwing it out there because pre-code horror might have priced itself out of the gore, and second best gore would be crime.
Yeah, I mean, the PCH collectors do like a lot of that crime stuff. I still collect PCH, but the prices have gone up so much. I don't know if you guys have noticed. You don't keep track of what I'm doing, obviously, but I have sold a ton of PCH over the last year. I had a fraction of the number of PCH books I had a year or 2 years ago. I have sold a ton, and I have made massive profits on those books because I was picking them up as they were rising, and I still love them, but they get to a point where I'm able to flip these things for 4 or 5 times what I paid within the span of a year or 18 months. Yeah, I'll do that. And if that cools off, I'll pick up back some of the stuff I like. But I'll move around in the market. I'm an opportunist. And yeah, Bonafide was mentioned, the war comic.
Yep,
I jumped on that train in January, and I've been riding it ever since. And it's still going up. But at some point, I'm going to do a sales thread, probably on the boards or something, and I'm going to sell off a bunch of the war books that I've accumulated. And I've got a nice war collection right now, and I'm going to sell a bunch of those. I'll probably keep a couple of my favorites. But the prices keep going up. I'm going to sell them off and make some money. And ultimately what I do is I put it into big books like a Planet Comics 1 or a Starling 49, blue chip GA books that I love. And then those go in the box where they sit. And I try to accumulate a box full of, $5,000-$6,000 books. And that box is not very full right now, but it's fuller than it was a year ago. Do you know what I mean?
They're going to come down
with books like that. So
you think they're going to come down? So like,
I don't think they'll come down as much as you think. They won't be hit as hard because of the scarcity.
You can think, I'll sell it now while it's hot and I'll be able to buy it later. But sometimes I think, if I sell it now, I might, when I need to get it again, it might be,
even longer by then.
I mean, I sold my Chamber of Chills 19 when my first one I bought it for, I don't know, it was under $1,000. I sold it for many multiples of that recently. But I'm like, man, maybe I'll never get another one. I just had another one a couple weeks ago, and I sold that one. And I'll get another one after that. I sold my Black Cat. I had a Black Cat 50 and 7.0. Now, I will get another one, but I guarantee it's going to be a 7.0 this time. But, whatever. But even the stuff you think you can't get, if you look around long enough with patience, I think you can still reacquire some of this stuff. I don't think anything – there's only a couple books out there that are so rare you may only have one shot at. That's how I feel. And that's how I feel collecting rare books. Even the rarest of books I want, I still see them come up again and again. And I've had multiple copies of some rare stuff.
DS, you know what they say? They say some of the most successful comic shop owners are those owners that don't get attached to some of these books in their collection. That way they can always part with it and, they can get it back, in the long run. Or if they have to part with it for good, that's okay. They get that big boost in their income to where they can buy other books, So I agree with that, man.
You like it, though, because that whole, don't get attached kind of goes against the whole, buy what you love.
I'll tell you how I got around.
I'm keeping these faucets, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm never getting rid of some of mine. I'm never going to get rid of some of mine.
I'll tell you how I get around it. There's 2 ways I get around it. Number one, for instance, this is my favorite PCH book right here.
Yep.
Favorite one. Now, I had a 2.0 of this. My favorite book. And I'm really attached to it. Love it. I sold the 2.0. Why did I do that? If I love it so much, it's my favorite horror book. Well, the reason is, number one, there's other books out there that I love that I want to experience and get. So I need money to do that. And number two, you have to have a leap of faith that you can get it again. And, so had I never gotten rid of that 2.0, I never would have been motivated to pick up this 3.5, which is a much, much better copy. I love this book more than I love the 2.0 even. If somebody gives me a good offer, I will sell it. Am I attached to it? Yes. But I know I can get another one. And I can fall in love with a new book tomorrow with the money that I make off of this. And so I get attached, but I just know there's other books out there that I have yet to be attached to that I will enjoy becoming attached to. And I will gain that out of selling stuff that I'm currently attached to. So it's always keeps fresh, and everything that passes through my hands, I love. So I'm never lacking for love of books, no matter what I buy or sell.
And DS, and it's that in that heat of the moment, you got to go with your gut, and then you got to have that faith, like you said, that you will get this book again. I mean, hell, you had it at 2.0. You're going to get some other books maybe in the meantime, but then just before you know it, the 3.5 falls back in your lap, and then you look at it and you're like, "Yep, I did good on this."
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that
we all have seller's remorse, Arn. I think I have it.
Runs, though, if you go for runs, I feel like that's a lot tougher to do because
I used to collect superhero stuff and I would go for runs, and I'll tell you what I didn't like. Before I got into Golden Age, I got off of the collecting runs, because what happens is you are working on a run, and the more complete it is, the more satisfying you are. So you pick up all the stuff that you can pick up easily, and you fill a long box with non-keys, and then you work your way up to the big ones, and you run out of cash, and you realize you can't get the big key like an X-Men 1 or an X-Men 4 to go with all the other Silver Age X-Men you have. And then you have a box of stuff that ultimately is not as satisfying as the big keys. And then what I started to do was just get rid of all the small keys and just keep the big ones. And I would just buy the 1 key or the 2 keys from a run that I really liked. And I was able to get a lot of keys that way, as opposed to filling boxes with runs with holes, and all the holes are the big books. And it defeats the purpose of going after the run if you can't have like an X-Men 1. That's sort of how I felt about it. So
for me, it was the Fantastic Four. And what I did, I had a little short box, but I had the cash. I went after all the big boys. That damn Doctor Doom first appearance, that pissed me off the most, because I felt like I overpaid. But
Oh, mine.
it was the last one that I needed. But then I collected. But DS, the great thing about yours is you get those big time keys. And if I would have known probably what I've known now, I probably would still have the runs, but not those runs, but I would probably get the keys and then read the rest digital, because for me, I got kind of addicted to digital comic reading. JD too, on the Marvel Unlimited, right? JD.
It's another thing I say where I'm shallow. Like I don't have it within me to dedicate enough time and effort to completing an entire run. I'm not able to do it. I'm a one and done type guy. I can get the one book and I can hustle hard to get that book, but then I have to move on to something else. Yeah. There's a couple runs I completed that as soon as I completed it, I just sold them and moved on. And it's like, why am I collecting a run if the only thing I'm going to do is dump it and move to the next thing? Mm-hmm. So I just gave up runs. I don't have it within me to stick with it that long. I like to move around. It's more exciting to me to move around and wheel and deal and get this book and sell this book. And I'm not tied down my runs, and consequently, I hardly own any books. But every book I have is, relatively big for me. They're all big books. I mean, I have everything's over $1,000 for me. That's big.
I remember when we were in Baltimore and you stopped by the old Comic Core booth, and man, you were so excited and so happy because you was showing off some of them Golden Age books. Man, it was awesome. Yeah,
the one book I bought, one book in Baltimore. That's it. My whole budget.
You sold the rest of those? Didn't you have some to sell?
I mean, my what do you call it? The show drop off, the on-site. I sold all of those. Yeah, I sold a couple right at the con too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Now I'm working on a small run, but if I get rid of one of these, I mean, I don't know how long it'll be till I can even find another one. So it's like you get tied up. You kind of, you get that money gets tied up. Like
I like doing runs.
If I had you were not a run, I would be much more easily like, okay, if this can net me that, then I'll do it. But if I know I'm going to buy this again and I know how hard it'll be.
What run is that? Is that 2 through 5 or?
Yeah, 2 through 5.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's a killer run. But again, I'm small time Knights. Those 4 books are bigger than everything I have. Do you know what I mean?
Know about
that. Those are like the faucets. Like I have Wiz 2, Wiz 3. I got Captain Marvel Adventures 1 through 3. I don't have number 4, but I kind of like Knights. I have a little bit in there of the nice little run. We got Boy Who Had 7 in the house. Great to see Matt rocking and rolling in the chat tonight.
Another good thing about my stuff is there really aren't any runs. I mean, you can collect LB Cole books, and it's like a set, and I just pick out the ones I want. But then I never complete the set. But I'm always buying and selling LB Cole books, and at this point, I've owned a lot of his work, and it's satisfying to me to know that I have had books that I don't have now. But I can say that I've owned a lot of LB Cole books, and for me, it's like I'm working on the run, and at some point I'll be able to say I've owned every LB Cole book. I won't have them all together at the same time, but for me, that's all right. I know I've had them. I had a Black Cat 50 and a 7.0. Yeah, I have that. I enjoyed that book, and not many people have one or have one in that grade. And, maybe I'll pick up another one, but there's not really a lot of runs in the stuff I collect. It's more like just individual sort of pieces of art that stand alone. Not really runs.
some of those books, DS. So it's kind of like they are your guests, and they're coming over to stay with you for a little while before they move on to their next guest. But that is pretty damn awesome that you have. Because for me, like, and Michael probably too, on the Sensational and Wonder Woman's, like my Captain Marvel's. God, once I get them, if I have doubles, I will, sell. Most likely, but it's hard sometimes,
Well, there's some books I will sell. I just sent that Dynamic Comics 8 into CGC, and I have no plans to sell that. The all new, I mean, I just told you the profit I was offered on that.
Yeah,
I want to give that book up. So there are books I hold pretty tight, but they're few and far between. That all new and a 4.0, man, that's going to be a tough one to replace, and I absolutely love it. So I'm very hesitant to move that. But other books like this one, if somebody offers me like 35 on it, it's gone. I'll get another one, you know what I mean? But that all new, that's tough to replace, and I like it, and it's rare, and it's a good investment. Yeah, it's a tough one to move. So Planet Comics 1, that's like top sci-fi book in the golden age. I got a 5.5 blue label. So, I mean, it's not something I'm in a hurry to move. But, if somebody offered me 10 grand for it, yeah, I wouldn't own it anymore. That's for sure.
I feel like if you have seen, if you keep up with the market, that's why it's always good to, even if you're not buying, like sometimes I'll go through, I'll buy a big book and then I won't buy for months, if I'm good. But, it's good to keep up because like these, I just looked up. Nothing on eBay. One on eBay, but Brittle pages only. I usually try not to get that. But like if I saw like 5 of each, then yeah. And if I did see some awesome opportunity to buy some amazing thing and I could sell these or trade these or whatever, like I'd be much more apt to do that. Even if, there's the census is low or whatever, if availability is higher, it would make it.
Well, what if there was a Tech 27 complete 0.5, like split, cover split, detached. It's a 0.5. It's a Tech 27, and you have an opportunity to get it, but you need to trade those 4 books and some cash and a couple other things you love. Then I feel like those marbles are gone, right? Yeah, so the only way to move up the ladder is to sell stuff underneath the ladder to move up. But they're so high up the ladder that there's not a whole lot above that that's readily available either. So you've worked on those. So that's like your
point. I think
top of the ladder.
So where those books, like the Tech 27, yeah, like if he dealt with me and it was like, all right, fine, I'll give you a week or a few days to come up with the cash or trade whatever, fine, I'll deal with you. But like I feel like at a certain level, those books on the high end, you don't get that. They're not going to deal with you. They're just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to do Comic Link because or whatever, because
I mean, sometimes like, look, I don't
want to sell all your awesome stuff and then be left with because like even if I had a bunch of cash, unless I had that Tech 27, which blew up at blah, 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 and I didn't have the money, I'm just left with a bunch of cash. Oof. And if I sold all my awesome books that I love, I might be tempted to just not be in the game.
Yeah. Well, I might retire after that or just
I want to get Tech 31 is on my list as a horror collector if that meets the cut. And that's a good investment, and it's an awesome freaking book. But I want to get a Tech 31 in the next few years. And the only way I'm going to raise the 20 or 25 grand for a nice low-grade copy or 30 is by selling my big books. Now, I don't want to sell 200 books. First of all, I don't have 200 books. But I want to sell like maybe 5 books, maybe 4 or 5 books to get that. So, Planet 1 is going to be on the chopping block. Starling 49 going to be on the chopping block. There's books like that I'm going to be left with the one book, and then I'll start I'll put that in a box, and then I'll start the process over and work up to, a Suspense 3 in a low grade or whatever. And over time, I feel like I'm climbing the ladder and I don't have a lot of books, but the density of my collection improves. Like as I flip through my 2.5 boxes now of slabs, everything's a heavy hitter. And I continue to move up the ladder. But the only way to, at a certain point, the only way to get to the next rung of the ladder is you have to sell, big stuff, because all you have at this point is big stuff. And you want to get bigger stuff, you got to sell big stuff. So, I mean, I can't keep everything. I'll never raise 30 grand for a Tech 31 by just saving out of my paycheck. I'll have to sell big books. And I'll have to sell quite a few of them, and then I'll have one book to show for it. And then I'll start the process over and get another big book and try to improve over time. I don't know. It's challenging. It's fun. And during the process, I enjoy a lot of books coming in and out of my hands. And
I think this categorizes us as kind of a certain type of person, though, because I think if you took any one of us and you said, all right, you could have your collection or this amount of money, what would you take? And most of us would probably rather have our collection, because I think we worked hard to get these, and we know how hard it is to get all this. And unless it was like, it would have to be a kind of unrealistic number. I think we would trade up. Like if they said you could have an action one or whatever, a tech whatever for your collection, but if they said, or you could have this money, which might get you a tech one, I don't know, but maybe not, then you'd be like, I think I'll just keep my collection. I worked hard for that. And that's
for me, I would definitely keep that. Like you show the action one. I don't care. I've got the Wiz 2. I'm a big. I like Captain Marvel more than Superman and Knights. I'm sure you like Wonder Woman.
I have a Wiz 2 anyway. I like a Superman 1 though.
Oh, Superman 1.
Would you trade your whole collection for it?
No. For
a chance at it.
Definitely.
Which one?
I'm not big enough. My son is, but I'm not a big enough Superman fan. No way.
What would you trade your whole collection for a chance at?
Probably a Blue Label Wiz 2, maybe like
the whole.
Oh hell no! Yeah, actually, I've got a whole collection. No, screw that. I'm happy with my purple label.
Yes.
My whole
piece of original art,
or just a chance. Like, okay, your insurance adjuster type, kind of like, here's what we think you might be able to buy, whatever book it is for this. Okay.
So I would have to sell all the books and get the cash, and then I have the cash where I can maybe try and buy the book. Is what you're saying. And if I don't get the book, I'm just left with the cash.
Yep.
I've thought about doing it, and I do that on the small levels already. But to sell everything,
maybe
I don't know. I feel like
there's no book on
my Fantastic Comics 3 in like a 7.5.
Yeah, you're a no.
That's all right. I mean,
he's got a heart after all. He's got a heart.
Yeah, no way.
I'll tell you,
we got spinner rack. We got to. You want to start spinner rack?
Real quick though. So, do you think it's the perfect time to buy? I think if you got cash, get the golden age, man.
What I would say the big two takeaways from everybody we said was buy what you love. Mm-hmm. Everyone of us said that. Something you enjoy, and patience.
Patience. Oh yeah, patience is a virtue. Yep.
There you go. So, Knights, is it up? Hang on. I got to do this.
Well, getting the spinner rack ready. Let's check out that chat. We got R&R is in the house. Thanks for hanging out with us, R&R. We got Comics Misexplained. I saw him in there earlier. It's great to see Comics Misexplained. You can catch him on that Wednesday show. I still don't really know what the hell that show's about, but I know it's gone too soon over there on Wednesday nights. But man, and then we got TJ the Slab Dragon in the house too. It's great to see TJ. Wow, look at this one.
Who'd you say, R&R?
R&R is here. Firstborn for Tech 31. He's ready.
Cool. All right. So here
for Tech 31.
Here we go. 1939. This is a nice tech.
Mm-hmm.
Number 18.
Yeah, I love that one.
He's doing some alchemy, perhaps, maybe some science experiments at home.
Is that a first appearance too of like
the Yellow Claw?
Mm.
That was a Fu Manchu key or something.
Oh, Fu Manchu.
No one I know of.
Oh, much better.
And we got a
New Adventures. Yeah. What number is this? 29?
Those two are ones that you know,
This
are
is
pretty niche, I'd say.
Is 29 the last event, New Adventure? I think it goes to Adventure right after that, right?
Oh, you might be right. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a title change around 29 to 30 in the Adventures.
Now, these are like the types of books where you would drop a big load on these. But, but, you know, it doesn't have the kind of conversation piece to your buddies who aren't into comics.
I really like the Sandman adventure comics. Those are my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
So flat out, I've been debating on switching over to doing that just for the hell of it now.
Sandman's pretty awesome. Then we got
I've always liked it as a kid. That was one of the ones I always wanted of the Golden Age. So this is Adventure
39. This is 1939 now.
1939 now. It's sharp.
Yeah,
Nice sharp cover.
I'm looking for a copy of this, and I keep seeing copies, but they never have good white on the cover. It's always got boxing or staining.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find one with the white on top behind the title. Nice bright white. Somebody posted one today. Nathan Kihai Collectibles.
Oh yeah.
Posted his 3.5 today, and he's got a nice copy. That's what I'm talking about. The one he has.
You know, it's gonna be interesting. You know, hopefully all of us will live long enough to. And it sounds kind of morbid, but like, you know, there's always the baby boomers. You know, that book isn't that rare. There's tons of copies, but like after a while, when there's no baby boomer left. Yeah. They're not like 115 years old. Like they're gone. Like, but if this book is like still rare, then you're like, geesh, okay, this is really
yeah. That's rare. Like when we're like in our 70s, and it's like we're looking back at these books and like, damn, this book's over 100 years old.
That thing was still rare then. Oh my God!
Knights of Old down there in the bottom square. He's drinking out of that freaking Jesus cup. That's how he stays young. He's really 105.
He has chosen wisely.
Crusade, man, that was a good one.
Chosen wisely.
Yep.
All right.
And we got a what are we still 1939? Very early. I think this is the first cover of the Arrow.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Very cool.
Nice book.
I didn't do an extensive search, but kind of a so-so search, and I couldn't find an earlier Arrow cover. And I think his appearance is earlier, like much earlier, but no cover. So
I like how the title says "Funny Pages for the Entire Family." Yeah, funny about someone's getting arrowed in the face in a minute.
It's too bad they didn't say Arrow or whatever, but it kind of looks more like a ninja.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a nice Wonder World.
Yeah.
Not sure who. This is a Lufine. This is a 5, number 5. Sorry.
Yeah, early ones are Lufine. That's cool. I like the Tommy gun on there.
Yeah, that's well done.
And you know, that's when they wanted to put the swastika on there, but
it was too early. Yeah,
whoever it was like, just
give him the death head instead.
Put a like pirate symbol or something on there.
Devil skull.
Oh, and rabbit. Funny, like a year later, this is 1940. Arrow #1 came out.
Yeah,
nice.
I don't know if his color of his costume always changed or what, but. I'd like to look at the interior of one of those. I wonder. I don't know anything about this guy.
The Arrow. I wonder if it's on that Golden Age Plus website that has all those.
Yeah, it's one of those sites. There's a few of those.
Then we got another 40. I like these like collectors of mopeds, like scooters.
Yeah,
Vogue scooters.
Very cool.
Target. pretty cool. I'm not sure who the artist is. Another Wonder World 1940.
The Flame.
Why I put this one on there, but just a typical Flame. This is a nice 1941 now. One of the early
uppercutting that big German tank there.
Now this is they were okay putting the Iron Cross a little bit earlier than the swastika for some reason, because the swastika was first appeared in number 43. But they were okay with the Iron Cross, which was not necessarily linked with the the Nazis stole the swastika and the Iron Cross from ancient religions. So.
Action 40 is a good book.
Another arrow, 1941. This one's pretty cool because it's technically a Hitler appearance, even though it's just in the picture frame at the bottom right.
Okay.
That's a pretty cool pose.
Yeah.
And those are Centaur, by the way. Oh, this one is really cool. I have a soft spot for these Nazi like zombies and skeletons and whatnot. The like under the like mystical Nazis, very like Indiana Jones-ish. But this one's, and there's this whole thing about the reverse swastika. And I'd like to get at the bottom of this, but there's lots of stories like they didn't know, it wasn't a well-known symbol. The printing process sometimes was reverse things. There's all kinds of stories. This is one of those where it's going the wrong way, but Third Reich, and you can always remember that it's supposed to go.
You got to do some more research on that, because it's kind of like when people in the 80s used to play their records backwards and heard the devil speaking or something. It's something crazy. There's probably some hidden.
It's interesting. Could be something. I don't know. It's too bad I couldn't talk to some of these old timers to see what they thought of that.
Yeah, I'm really trying to add some more MLJs. I have one MLJ and it's a Blue Ribbon issue. I really like MLJs. I want some MLJs and I want some Fox books, and I
never see this ever.
Yeah, some of the Blue Ribbons are rare,
to be honest. And then so this one came up.
There it is, Dr. Fate.
And I was thinking like, these early Dr. Fate covers are pretty cool. Like they're very interesting. And this is like just a mini side rant here. So this is I think the 5th Dr. Fate of 11 covers. Only 11 covers. And they were all done by this guy whose name is Howard Sherman. Okay. And I'll go through the 11 one. This is he appeared in the issue before this, but this is the first cover, 56. Then this one's very cool. Very like out there, like what the hell is this comic about?
Dude's got a pretty kick-ass gun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kind of sci-fi.
Like Call of Duty gun or something.
Yeah,
awesome.
Got the triple split.
This one's
he's pissed.
Not
good.
Kind of weird.
Running.
Then there's only 11 Dr. Fate covers like solo of in the Golden Age, and I kind of thought there was more, but when we're talking about runs, that run would be kind of fun to make, except
isn't he in a lot of All-Americans?
You end up in this one, and this is the Aquaman and Green Arrow.
Green Arrow experience. Good God Almighty, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna put a damper in your run.
Yeah,
it's gonna really set you back.
You're not gonna be collecting that run, but some of them are very kind of out there sci-fi. Like this one is very cool, and then you even got the Nazi one. And
do you ever get pissed when it's like, damn it, Green Arrow and Aquaman, why do you have to show up in this stuff?
It's true. Well, that's how I feel about Archie, because the Pep 22 is a Nazi cover.
It's a crazy cover. And find out it's the worst Archie.
And this guy, so I looked him up. I never heard of him before. And his art is pretty good, I have to say. He did typically he did a lot of panels, which is kind of normal at the time, but he put a lot of time there, and he did all these. He did all the interiors of Dr. Fate. He comes from a pulp background, which is here. He did this great cover. This is probably his best cover, Ace Mystery, and you know, these are pretty nice. Like the
that interior looks like a pulp style interior, like you would see off a Flash Gordon or something like that.
Yeah. But there's not anything, a lot of interiors of the Golden Age, you're like, oof, that's drawn not so good. But these are like decent, like maybe he didn't need to draw so many in between kind of panels of what's happening, but they're not bad. But anyway, he got drafted right after he finished that last More Fun. Mm-hmm. And I think it was early 1942, right after Pearl Harbor. And then when he came back, he got some jobs back in like Western books and whatnot. And he noticed that he just wasn't fast enough. Like I think he said the price went up from $14 for what he was getting a page of pencil and inked of these back then, to $25. And then eventually it got up to even $40, but he was just kind of slow, and it just wasn't viable for him to do it. So he ended up doing like graphic design and working for like toy packaging companies and whatnot. So he pretty much had a very short career, but I thought that was interesting. Anyway, move on to this used to be not cheap, but like not really under the radar at all. And then, Stan Lee started getting really a lot of media, and this came out as his first like character that he created was the Destroyer. Mm-hmm. And this book shot through the roof.
Plus, very popular. The Destroyer covers, the Mystic Run, are super, super popular books. Yeah. Just because, I don't know, the Destroyer is such a cool character, and the covers are so awesome.
Yeah, and they were tough to find even before Stan Lee. I mean, you didn't even think about Stan Lee. They were tough. So now it's like, oh God. So, but anyway, this is his first appearance. Pretty cool book.
Spec on it.
I'm not sure who did this cover, but I always kind of thought it was somewhat of a Jack Kirby, but when I looked, it didn't say that. So I'm not sure who did this, but yeah, he's kind of like a clown, a very expensive clown to buy. We got a prize here. Here's another example of the reverse swastika on that ship.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that's there you go.
41 still. So this is funny because Wonder Woman is also in this week, and this is one of those books where I think if I didn't have this in that lot of books that I wanted to trade to that seller for the Wonder Woman one, he wouldn't have wanted, because he kept mentioning this one over and over and over again. And I'm like, yeah, fine, sure. And like, I didn't really realize how tough this book is to find. And like, I'm okay with it because like, I think it's neat, but I kind of resigned myself to not collect zombie Nazis ever since I had a hard time getting one of those MLJs Zip 32, I think.
Was it with the tank battle?
Yeah, God. And, I was like, fuck this. So I was like, fine, let this one go. But like, he super overvalued this. And he was like, as long as this was in there.
This is a good book, and it's rare. I think it was number 13, right? Silver Streak.
Number 14.
14. Okay. Yeah, this one I've seen. This is on my list of books I want to get at some point. I love the Silver Streak run, and some of the early Daredevil stuff's good too. Mm-hmm. But these Silver Streaks, man, they're tough to find.
Yeah.
And so good, and the stories in them, and the art on the cover, and there's not many of them around. Man, the prices on these just keep moving up.
Yeah. And it's got
Silver Streak. Silver Streak.
Kind of, PCH vibe to it, you know.
Yeah.
in a way.
Silver Streak 6, the first Daredevil, 6.0 just sold for 20 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one we were shocked. I didn't even think it was a
Yeah.
15 book.
Now this isn't at that level, but you know, I almost bought a what was it? Probably like a 4.0 of this for it was $1,500, and I debated it for months. Still out. I know I should have, but I debated it for months, probably along with everybody else. Somebody eventually bought it, and then I just haven't seen another one. And the next one, 4.0 or 4.5 comes around, is not going to be 1,500. I guarantee you that. So, yeah, these are tough, and they're pretty sought after. They're badass. I love Silver Streak. I need to get a couple of those.
It's interesting, you know, because if you take out that swastika, it loses something. Like the market it appeals to goes down, and I feel like it's really interesting. Like, what is that like? You know, you think modern or bronze, like there's no equivalent to like just one symbol on the cover. And you know, the only thing I could think of is like maybe a price variant, right? In the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Whereas like one little tiny, you know, change of a number will affect the grade, will affect the price.
Like what's that Amazing Man 22 with the green Nazi monster?
Yep. Yeah, totally.
He didn't have the swastika on his forehead, and it was just a monster with no swastika. They would not sell for a fraction. It's still a cool book, but I mean, you got 3 O's going for 20 grand. And it's a giant Nazi monster. Same with that Speed Comics.
Which one is that?
Whatever. Another one.
Which one were you talking about?
I think it's Amazing Man 22. I think it's
the green monster with the swastika on his forehead.
There's a Speed Comics that's like that too, with a Nazi monster.
Super expensive Centaur. Yeah. But like
Amazing Man 22
in modern or like 90s or like 80s, there's nothing. There's nothing that is like that. It's a very only golden age tribute.
That's
anyway,
picture.
Go on.
I'm trying to find a good picture of it.
Yeah, I thought I had one here.
There it is.
Magician.
No, it's.
Oh, look at that! He's got it on his forehead.
Yeah. Okay.
Showing that.
I was looking at Silver Streak number 7.
Super expensive. That one.
Yeah, I mean, 3.0 is like 20 grand, and if it didn't have that swastika on the monster's head, if it was just a regular monster, it wouldn't be worth nearly as much.
Yeah, totally. Like even not monsters. Like there's an Amazing Man on eBay right now, which I saw, which is you know, it's kind of a beater. It was like trend maybe, and I think it was from a bound volume, but like you know, it's not the one that I want, which actually has the swastika on there. And if it was, I would totally buy it instantly, but it's not. So I'm like, I'll wait. It's kind of funny. Anyway, this kind of reminds me of the Shadow books. Sometimes they have some covers. Is this the same publisher as the Shadow books?
Yeah, Street and Smith.
So probably the same artist or art director or something, because they got some high quality covers on there. Still in 41. This is I meant to include a all select number 2 where Cap has the Gatling gun, because these Gatling guns are pretty fun. And here's a Conqueror one with that guy. This was interesting. This was 42.
The Doolittle raid.
Doolittle bombed Tokyo. You know, this is 3 years before that happened. So it's pretty interesting.
No, what year is this?
42.
That's when we bombed Tokyo with Jimmy Doolittle.
No, we bombed Tokyo in 45.
No, not the nuclear bomb. This was right after Pearl Harbor. We responded with this.
Oh, sure.
Doolittle's raid. He's talking about Doolittle's raid.
You think of the bomb, like
really bombed Japan.
Yeah.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Those were the gone too soon bombs.
Yeah.
Stripe.
And we got the early appearance of Cave Nurse.
Hang on, I got to go back to DS for a minute here.
The Swashbuckler.
Cave Nurse.
Oh, the Speed Comics. Okay.
Look at that beastie guy. Dang.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and this one sells for a fraction of the Amazing Man. That one in 3.0 goes for like 20 grand. This one in 3.0 goes for like 3 grand.
Wow.
Comparable in price, but I think they're both equally good. I don't know why the other one's so expensive.
Nice.
Well, the Centaurs even, I mean, either it's because people are holding or it truly is rare, but it does seem rarer.
Yeah, I don't see a lot. Speed 28, I don't see very often either. The Amazing Man 22, I don't see either one of them ever, and they're both just really cool. So I don't know.
That's true. There is it's interesting. If you take two books that haven't been shown in the past year, like they're not on GPA for the past year, sometimes one will have a crazy more feeling of way rare. This is way rare, even though both haven't been seen in the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Centaur, like that Speed might not have sold in the same amount of time, but for whatever reason, I feel like the Centaurs were.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like that Speed 28 is a good investment because it's not. It's the Centaur is not 10 times as good. They're very similar, and maybe the Centaur is a little better. It's a little better fleshed out, but even if it's twice as good, then you've got a book selling for 3 grand that could be worth 10 or 12.
See,
so, I might pick up a Speed 28 because that seems undervalued for what it is, and that it's a small category of Nazi monsters. Do you know what I mean? There's not a ton of them.
Totally.
It's still 41 though, right? No, we're 42.
Which one?
We're 42 right now, right?
We're in 42 now. I'm not sure when that Speed came out, but
the Speed. When did the Speed come out?
The Speed came out in 1943.
Okay.
And 43 and 44.
Hangman 3 is coming.
43 and 44 are a little tricky. Like typically for me, I feel 39 and 40 are really tough years to find, but there's a school of thought that 43 and 44, there was a lot more restrictions on paper and metal, and you got the whole like one staple kind of thing going on that actually made some of them rarer.
Okay.
So it might be even, I don't know. But that's really...
That Centaur is 1941, and the Speed is 40.
Yeah, the Centaur,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like DS, you probably paid more attention in math class than me.
Still like the Daredevil Battles of the That's
how about that book?
Hey, we know that one.
Yep, easy peasy. They're all over the place, guys.
We'll have to pick one up. There you go.
And this is 42. So this was.
Yeah, I would say this: of all of the canny, goofy things that the DC does, that next one probably is the one that I've seen not get busted on the most.
Yeah, when it has something like power, it's okay.
Yeah.
They're packing something, all right.
This one was. I was like,
Shadow Octopus one.
The artist must have been like another. Like, you want me to draw another one with the goddamn like swordfish? Jesus Christ.
Milking that swordfish for all it's worth.
Something wacky then.
Yeah. Gimmicks had to be gimmicks back then.
He had a fetish for swordfish.
This is pretty cool.
Wow, that's neat.
My wife took classes in landscape design, and I bought this for her. You try to interject your hobbies into theirs. Mm-hmm. Well, this was my opportunity. And this was very, very early in my Golden Age buying, and I didn't even think to count the pages. And when I did, like a year or two later, it was like, yep, centerfold's gone.
Dang it.
Like, I never even like thought to do that way back in the day. So it's pretty funny.
There must have a lot of pages in it too, because that's a 15 center.
Yeah.
So it
It's
must
cool.
be.
Victory Gardens. Yeah. And there's some COVID-ness to this. I've heard a lot of people talking about their garden stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a great one of the best young allies, in my opinion, Timely's, because we got the 3 dictators there on the bottom left.
Yep.
And it just is a little more serious than most of their books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. Toro looks like he's doing damage right now, avoiding getting shot.
Yeah, he borrowed that mace from Samson off of Fantastic 3.
Yep.
Probably true.
And we got a 44
Comic Capers.
number 1, Comic Capers.
Got that Flasher Studio stylized artwork there.
Yep. And we got a Sid Shores Mystic 1.
Great.
Volume 2.
I'll tell you, if people want to pick up a Mystic, this one never seems to be anywhere near as expensive as most of the other ones.
Well, the Destroyer's out. And then, somehow they just... there's another one with a syringe and a Nazi zombie-ish skull.
Yeah, that one's picked up, though, man. That one's pricey now.
Yeah.
There's one of those on... there was one just in Heritage, or maybe it's on Comic Link or something. It's a 7.0. I think it was in the Heritage one, and it sold for a lot, like $15,000 or something.
I'd say the biggest difference between now and maybe 30, 20, 40 years ago. It's crazy that it's 40 years ago. But there was a time, around the 80s and 70s and whatnot, when like number ones, like you couldn't compete. Those were way more. And now who gives a crap?
Yeah, who cares about the number one now? But you got Shazam number 1 with one magic word. That's a good one.
It's all about content, which I think is a better thing. I do believe we evolved in that moment. Here's a great Submariner one. This is very like D-Day-ish. Him going up on the shore there. And this is I meant to look this up because I remember I read a Joe Simon book about this, and Joe Simon he created Cap with Jack Kirby, and he went to the war as well, but he was stationed as kind of like Coast Guard-ish. I believe it might have just been U.S. Coast Guard, but I feel like it was a little bit more. It didn't seem as like wussy as it does now, but back then, you're defending the shores, so he stayed in America. But I feel like this in that book was something like it was kind of like not self-portrait, but it had like some personal meaning to him. So I included this one. And then, since we're the Golden Guys, the Golden Lad.
Oh, hell, they got old Sandusky in the top corner.
I'm not sure who the youngest Golden Age, maybe Yaniv. He's the Golden Lad, maybe. Then we a great timely team book.
Yep. I like that one.
This one always looked like a Bronze Age book to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It has a Bronze Age look to it.
Certainly.
Good book.
I agree with you. It's very tough to get. Not one I really looked into too much because just I'm more centered on the beginning of the war, but eventually I'll get there. And that's
cool. We had Cobra Commander a little earlier with the Arrow. Now we got old Storm Shadow there.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Storm Shadow.
We got a 46 a Kirby Boy Commandos. Kind of neat. You could tell he had a lot more imagination than than the books that he was tasked to draw were. I feel like he always wanted to make more, give more storytelling than what was, Boy Commandos. Like, what? This doesn't mean like jetpacks and space. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's amazing that he even got away with this.
So even in his early years before, because I think he had a lot, even more so, creativity in the 70s when he went to DC with Forever People and all that stuff. Gods, Candy. Was it the Demon?
God. Demon's a good one.
And he, I was listening to something, and they were talking about the pulps and how they had a lot of hero pulps and sci-fi pulps way back, like in the 20s and 30s, early
Argosy.
And like these guys, like Kirby and a lot of those Golden Age guys were, 10, 12, 15, whatever. They were reading this stuff. So, they were really into this kind of sci-fi stuff. So it shows, I think it shows here.
Yeah.
Good job.
Mighty Mouse #1.
Cool.
Here it comes every day.
I would think back then, like if I knew anything about the future of cartoons, which I guess Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were out, but I don't know how many cartoons were out by then. But you'd think like this would be maybe big, but
yeah,
he might be public domain now. I'm not sure. Oh, here's one that
JD.
I own that. I own that. Number 19.
It's a good book.
I didn't know it was this month. Number 19. I have that. I got a nice copy of that too.
H.G. Peters.
Yeah. Number 9 is the tough one.
Oh, and another one of your favorites.
That is another one of my favorites right there. Yeah.
This is a great one. I love this. I had this for a while. I got it for a good deal, and I was very DS on this one where I'm like, double my money. Hell yeah.
Submariner brings dinner. And
I slightly regret it. But just because it's been like maybe 5 years since I sold it, and like it's still going up. And of course, these guys,
fighting fires, man.
Acting like kids. They took on the kid persona, I think. What kids wanted to do, that's what Batman and Superman and Robin.
Jumbo was going to be on.
And then we got, this was on a list I think I sent DS a while ago about some, like, I don't know, media site that has nothing to do with Golden Age usually. But they were like top pre-code horror books, and I think this was on it. And
I don't know how big the list would have to be for this to be on it, but it's probably top 50, probably top 30. But the thing about this is it's the #1 issue, which is sort of cool because that is a long-running title. It's also a very, very early PCH because this is 1949.
48.
48. Okay, so yeah, I mean it's pre-50s horror, and it's a very, very early sort of foundational PCH. And the cover is badass, and it's tough to find. And if you get a nice condition one with all that black, it's really, really cool book. I want a copy of this, but there's so few out there. It's tough to find. If I found like a 4.0, a 4.5 of this, yeah, that'd be a nice book. It'd be pricey too. A lot of people would want it.
I'd say, yeah, like when you really break it down like that, it sounds great, but it's no Chamber of Chills.
No, it's not. This one is more of a sort of historical one. It's the first issue of a long-running title. It's a very early PCH, but it's not a Chamber of Chills 19. I mean, you'd have to. That's what I'm saying. If you had like your top 35 PCH, this would probably make the list, but it's not going to make the top 20.
Yeah. Then we got I don't know, kind of I Dream of Jeannie, Black Terror. Just how hard these guys had trying to find jobs or a meaning of life.
Yeah, bondage, good girl art covers. You just
yeah. Even Mary Marvel.
Mary Marvel went Western.
With the times.
And she's awesome.
Come on, Legend.
Mary Marvel. I don't have any Mary Marvels yet, but I do look them up every now and then. That and WoW comics. I do
go for a big chunk.
I definitely like the WoW comics better than the Mary Marvel. I think, yeah, I
like that too, because that was kind of her first big time break, beside Marvel Family, but being in her own stories, those WoW comics, there ain't nothing like them, especially WoW 18. I'm still looking for that old Uncle Dudley's first appearance, trying to find that and try to find a nice copy.
And even Mary Marvel
sitting on a mountain too, right? That I think like Adam Hughes did a swipe of. That one's really the WoW comics. There's a lot of covers that seem to me they're just like epic. They're epic covers with her, whereas the Mary Marvel are just not so great.
It's like those Mary Marvel cover or the Mary Marvel on WoW. You could put that on an old 1940s jet or airplane, going or those like just classic great covers of a lovely lady.
To me, they're very epic. I like.
Yeah. And we got this one kind of reminded me of the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Obviously
one by Neil Adams in the 70s, really. Yeah.
Those scary castles. You got to think Dracula, Bela Lugosi, 1931, and all those kick-ass like scary Universal horror pictures.
Yeah,
they really pop on the cover. If you put a scary castle on the cover, you're in for a scary.
I'm gonna get a Tech 31 though.
Check out Tomb of Dracula 23. It's a poor man's version.
I feel this is a milestone. This is a milestone. This would be the era of DS. Wanting, kind of acknowledging the Detective 31 and the Cap, whatever it is, 70, whatever the like.
The Red Skull.
He's like, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good.
Yep,
they are. There's a couple that are good, and I can put that next. I already have a Batman 227 in a really high grade. I can put that next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a Sun Girl, early Sun Girl. And then here's the Superman. He's usually doing some foolish stuff, but at least he's impressing the ladies. I don't know why the hell he wears his
Looks
suit.
like he's going into a corkscrew dive at an angle.
I mean, there's no effort involved in that at all, right? I mean,
so ridiculous. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Straight up terrible. I'm saying it.
We got Boots and her buddies.
I'm playing a little ball.
This is late 40s, they're really struggling. Pretty good one. I like this.
Read more and more about it.
Oh, here we go. Some scary. The Thing in the Cave. What do you think, DS?
It's cool. I mean, compared to other horror books, it's lacking, but just as a standalone piece of art, it's kick-ass. I think it's a Russ Heath cover.
Russ Heath.
It's cool, but I mean, compared to other horror books, it doesn't stand out at all. But just if I was at a LCS flipping through a box of old stuff and that was in there, I'd be excited to be like, "Ooh, this is pretty badass," because you're not going to run into that very often.
Now, do you think 5 years ago you would be saying about some of the PCH that like really took off in the past 5 years? You'd be like, it's okay, not blah blah blah. I wonder.
I don't know. My tastes have changed in comics overall, but my tastes in horror books, I feel like I like what I like, and I can never get motivated to go after stuff I don't like. I don't really like the Ajax Farrell stuff, even though it's very popular and it's very good. But personally, subjectively, the Ajax Farrell stuff, it's a little too sort of cartoony for me. Yeah. And I've never really liked it. This title I really do like. I would pick that up for myself. And I've had several issues from this title. I like this better than the Ajax Farrell stuff, but it sells way less. So yeah, I mean, I have things that I like, and like I said, I try to stick to things I like. So I would only pick this up if I could flip it, but my passion is not ignited by this book enough to search out or spend a lot of money on a nice copy. But I wouldn't pass the opportunity up if I found a deal on it.
I feel like it's funny how taste can change. And this might be like, oh, yeah, that's kind of interesting. But it's not nearly like something that one of the top 10 of PCH to a like superhero collector would ignite, like chamber chills and all that stuff.
I'll tell you though, if I found one of those in like a 7.0, I'd be all over it because all that black and it's a lower print Atlas title. This is one of those lower print Atlas titles. Man, you'd have a gem.
Here's another one that would be nice to get in black, all nice, no creases, black.
That looks so freaking cool, man. That's like the old school Lon Chaney Jr.
Right there, right?
What year did this come out?
1950.
Okay, cool.
That's an ace, I think, too. And those are always beat to hell. You can never find them. I've had several issues from this title, too, and they're all like 2.5, 3.0. I can't ever find a nice one.
I'm sure any werewolf fan, especially of the 1941 Lon Chaney Jr. Universal, you'd have to have this one. It's so cool looking.
Yeah, werewolf collectors have this on their list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I like it. I mean, a high grade with all that black would really pop, though.
Yeah,
it's wild. Can you imagine going to the drugstore or whatever, 1950?
Get a shake and a damn comic.
A stack of these.
Yeah.
Near mint stuff.
The damn flux capacitor. We got to invent that.
And you probably pick the Archie over there.
I know Mr. Gretzky would pick the Archies.
Yeah, all of them.
And we got another
hanging cover.
Ghost. This I thought was a little weird, like this kind of zombie pilgrim guy.
Yeah.
I think it's badass.
52 pages. You're getting the best bang for your buck right there. And you got the kick-ass looking cover. Real busy on the left side. Of course, they're giving you all the other. What else is inside this book? So you get.
They're really desperate to tell you what the hell's in this book.
Yeah, they want you to buy
a lot of words.
Yeah, I think about a hangman who was the hangman was resurrected by a curse or something. I think he used to hang witches or something. I think in the story.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, that kind of sounds like it. Like it would. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I used to have this Nick Cardy book. I had a lot of these. I did sell it to a guy who definitely was interested in it. It's good condition. I think I paid 20 to $40 for it and sold it for about $300, about just a shade under 300.
It's like that's Colin in the background.
And
a little haunted.
And I read the bastard too.
It's pretty good.
It's a good book.
Nice battle number 5.
Yeah, real nice there.
Death Trap.
That's a good one there. I wish I had that.
Pretty early. And then we got nice. You could just tell that finding one without creases on this one would be a pain in the ass.
This is on my radar, stuck back on a Post-it in the back of my brain for whenever I find a high-grade copy of this, because it's so noir and it's so mysterious, and I love that shadow and there's so much black on the cover. For years, I've just, in the back of my mind, when I see one, I'm like, oh, that one's not high-grade. I'm looking for like a 7.5, 8. I don't even know if there is one out there, but if there is and I find it, I will be excited because I like this book. It's really cool.
This reminds me of that one we were looking at earlier with the door, where you're like, you don't know what's going to happen, but your imagination can kind of
be creepy. I like it. It's creepy.
Yeah. And we got another early war one, number 1, Comet Kelly. Lots of text on here, of course. It's not, I don't know. It's number 1, but
Yeah, it's too much. There's too much going on there.
Eerie 3, Wally Wood.
Dang.
Oh, really? That's cool.
That Wally Wood cover. It is the best cover. My favorite Wally Wood cover there is that one right there. Eerie 3. Tough one to find. And it's considered a vampire cover. That guy's considered a vampire. It just a badass cover.
It's got
badass early Wally
Wood, right?
Yeah, it's very early. Great work. Eerie number 3.
Like you just woke up, Wood.
It's
sorry. Okay. We got
Fight Sheena. We have Tiger Girl, not Sheena. Tiger Girl's a little more badass. She's pretty violent.
Slave Queen of the Ape Men.
Yep.
Slave Queen. I'm just like, it's hard to tell like Is that a good title for her? I don't know. Like, did she work hard to get that promotion?
I mean, she's pretty much like the muscle of the group.
It's a pretty skimpy million model, and I like that. It's pretty funny. What does a blonde have to do with pretzels? Who cares?
Yeah. It's like Vince McMahon showing Sable in the ring or something, you know, just show the girl that looks good.
We got here.
And we got a here.
Face off.
Let's just say that guy in the background, that's Knights of Old back there.
That is a Knight of Old right there.
He did not drink the Jesus cup.
You see how this title has we're a few years in, and it's really dropped. This artist is cranking out so much work at this point, he can't put any attention to detail because he's working on like
Party, you mean, right?
Old, I think he's probably working on 5 or 6 titles a month, and he's cranking them out. And he's doing interior stuff too, and it's not like when Adventures in the Unknown #1, there was only a couple titles and there's other artists, but now he's cranking out so much work. I feel like the background is completely gone. There's no background. The face is very flat. It's just they're cranking out so much work and so many titles, this ACG, that they're not getting the quality. But they're putting out a ton of stuff. So that's where I think the quality starts lacking when they get a few years in on these ACG titles.
Oh man,
we got this was interesting because it was technically numbered 0, but it was also like parentheses number 127. So I'm not sure what comic this converted over to, but it's interesting that they chose number 0
instead of 1. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a DC title that's not very popular, but I feel like it has some. It's got some really good stuff, but I don't ever see him sell for very much. So I don't know. But number 9 in this title has a really good gas mask fight scene. A guy in a gas mask fighting a GI, and he's got the upper hand on him. It's really classic.
And we got a GI Combat, a Heath cover.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Perfect lighting.
Look how happy he is to stab that guy. Very happy.
A knife in the air too. Dropping the knife.
And we got a interesting ghost.
That doesn't look like Maurice Whitman.
This feels like those Jumbo comics that are at the end.
Yeah, Maurice Whitman did a lot of ghosts, so
looks like there's a little draft under her dress. A little man throw back there.
Something going on there.
GI Combat #1. So a lot of war comics are starting up right around this time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
right here.
Graham Ingalls, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure on this one.
I think it's Graham Ingalls. It's got that stringy, sort of wispy look, Graham Ingalls. So I'm sure somewhere on there it says Ghastly.
Is Ghastly Ingalls as well?
Yeah, well, he always signs his stuff Ghastly.
Ah.
So if you see Ghastly, that's like Graham Ingalls' signature.
I saw that recently. Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah, I think that's one of
them. This is very interesting. Don't worry about the Cold War. We'll protect you. No problem. This had to be close, right? Didn't DC take over them pretty soon?
Yeah, because Marvel Family 89 is the last appearance of Captain Marvel and the family, and then DC got the rights, and then
1973.
You wouldn't see it again until 73 when they said that one magic word, and damn Denny O'Neil had some kick-ass stories in those early issues.
And early CC Beck repeats himself.
Yeah, he came back. And this was after his daughter tragically died. I want to say in some accident or car wreck or something, and he came back and did some issues for him. And then when he left, man, I didn't really like I don't remember who did the art after that, but it wasn't my CC though, It
wasn't good again until Jerry Ordway took it back.
Amen to that. Yeah, 94, 95 Ordway. beautiful painted covers by that guy. I love the Ordway.
Here's Skeleton Hand #1.
Skeletor's first appearance there.
What do you think, DS? You like the musical horror covers?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
I wonder how it sounds. The old
It's
violin.
not horrific enough. I don't know. It's too jokey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's got a quality. It's just not my thing. I'm not knocking it. It's just not for me.
And we got a interesting. This reminded me of that Shawshank. Was it Shawshank Redemption movie where he escaped jail?
Chipping away through the wall.
Second favorite movie.
Well, that would have been a little different if he went into a zombie's little den.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the better.
And Andy Dufresne is poking
Andy
a hole in the wrong wall there.
That's a good Atlas title, though. Spellbound. That's a good one.
I think it's an Everett cover. And then this is pretty neat looking, very pulpish, nice.
Yeah.
Another World, 1952, #3.
That is probably a Norm Saunders painted cover, maybe.
Right.
Yep. Norm Saunders is one of the best of the best right there.
Yeah.
Now something like that to me would just look crap if it had lots of color breaking creases.
Oh yeah.
You don't have that as much on pulps. You have detached is more common because a lot of the pulp paper inside is shit, but the cover for some reason
True,
a lot of times you avoid a lot of creases, but you get a lot of bites and stuff on the sides and the edges, but not much down the middle or anything.
Now, what about this book though?
I don't know. Is that a comic size?
Yeah, this is comic.
Yeah, it's one of those Ziff Davis comics that looks like a pulp.
Pulpish looking, but
Because that title, Another World, goes all the way to the 60s into a small like Reader's Digest size thing.
Yeah, I think this would be good in like a 7.5. Honestly, it'd be killer.
Good book.
You know, there's books like this that come up in 7.5, 8.0. I tried to buy Amazing Adventures 4 in an 8.0, but I'm not the only one that thinks they look awesome in high grade. You know what I mean? And then like people with money that can afford to buy this and other stuff. I can only afford to buy, like I got one shot at something at any given time, and these go too high that I'm not wasting my shot on these. So I've been lucky at some point and get a nice one, but the auctions, they come up in Heritage a lot and they go for a lot and more than I want to pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
it must have been interesting because there was probably a lot of pulp people who could, paint a nice pulp cover at this point still, 1953. And they weren't probably getting enough money.
Schomburg was doing pulps at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Norm Saunders, you had
right.
Virgil.
Well, I mean, like on the comic front, they just seemed to be
pulp going out at the same time.
But I mean, like they weren't choosing to get the nice painted covers on the comics. So I would only assume that they would charge less. They'd give them less money to do the comic cover, or else we probably would have seen a lot more painted. This is Vampire Beware. So there's like an early Blade version.
Yeah, that's cool.
And this is a pretty cool EC war cover, I think.
Tales, right? Yeah.
That would look really nice. And
this title, DS, that you gotta love.
Two-Fisted Tales is good, but look, I got into war this year because it was a market that was growing and I could make some money, and I like it, so it interested me. And like all ECs, I'm just gonna say for me, they're too common to make money on them easily. So I gave up ECs for everything. There's just too many of them out there. But if you just want to collect and have cool stuff for yourself, you're not worried about investment value, this stuff's awesome.
Nice.
Great artwork.
Money on it.
Great book. More action.
Nice.
Corporate.
I feel like this is one you would get.
I would, if I found that in like a DG Plus or a 5.0 range, I'd pick it up. Yeah. I got a whole stack of these. That I just sent a bunch to CGC. I got a whole bunch here. I'm going to sell them soon.
So Russ Heath, great book, 52. Weird thrillers, another pulpish.
Yeah.
They early 50s they kind of experimented a tad with pulpish type covers.
You can see
Yeah.
George likes looking at some of those pulps, and you can see a little early Palpatine using the lightning on that guy.
Absolutely, yeah. He's like the first Ghost Rider plus Palpatine mix.
Ooh,
This
look
is
at
a frightening.
that, that freak slothy looking beast. A little Jekyll Hyde action.
What was the chocolate bar he wanted in Goonies?
Baby Ruth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he like Rocky Road.
Rocky Road Sloth.
Sloth love to eat. Oh,
I'm
God.
not sure. This
Creepy octopus thing here.
a little weird. It'd be cooler if it was like more Cthulhu than an octopus, but
Yeah.
and this is the Kiss of Death, so it's kind of like a early PSA, like venereal disease kind of thing going on.
Don't want to see no PDA out there, people.
Okay.
And we got Ace, right?
Oh,
Is it Ace?
Yeah, that's an ace. Yeah, I mean, there's that one baffling sort of PA cover, which I think is Baffling 9.
Right.
Other than that, they seem pretty run of the mill. There's a couple devil covers in Baffling, though. They're kind of cool.
Kind of cool with that woman with the flames there, the other stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Beyond. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know, but I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We'll see what they say.
You got your classic Willie Loomis style guy trying to get into some dude's coffin to see if they got good stuff in there.
Yeah. Grave robbers. I guess it was an opportunity to go in the 50s. I thought this was a pretty neat lizard cover, I have to say.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And the guy flying right under the lizard's head is almost a swastika.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of saw that. Yeah, guy's shape in there.
Yeah. But the artwork doesn't even come close to how good this is.
Weird
This
fancy
one-
sci-fi cover. Is that a Wally Wood cover?
Frazetta.
Frazetta, right?
The way they do this on we'll just talk about the CGC label. It's, I can't remember who the other guy is, but it's cover by Frazetta and such. I can't remember who it is.
Probably Al Williamson.
Maybe. But if you are familiar with Frazetta, I think this is clearly Frazetta pencil. And
Absolutely.
if it ever becomes more sort of less, if it becomes less murky, and this is definitely a Frazetta pencils, I think it becomes more valuable because it's a killer cover, but it has two names associated with the cover art, and it's not clear who did what. But I think it's obviously Frazetta pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
And the coloring, though.
you're not going to get it cheap anyway.
Yeah, Weird Fantasy Frazettas are pretty expensive right now.
Here's the elephant one I threw in there for Kitty.
That's kind of a cool one.
You got that?
Yep.
I figured. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. I like that.
Number 9. Wonder Woman number 9.
And there's a lady.
Of truth around him. She wants to know how many peanuts he ate today. Tell me the truth.
There are 3 Wonder Woman Golden Age.
And this nothing special, but I don't know. Somehow looking at this and the tilt and the way the water was, I thought it just kind of grew on me as a
Makes
neat cover for some reason.
Physics are out the window.
I don't
I
know.
like the expanded perspective, though. That is cool.
Yeah, somehow it just grabbed me. I don't know. And we got this was the creepy.
The one doing the saving of that cover is Robin, and the other two are putzing around with other stuff. Robin.
Yeah, that's true.
Superman can't bear to keep the door closed. I don't know if Batman was he trying to get somebody on the radio?
Mm-hmm.
Robin's the only one actually doing anything with saving.
And that creepy toys.
Ugh.
That Twilight Zone episode.
Talking Tina.
That's bizarre.
Anytime you have creepy marionettes in there, that does just look scary. And they're using
Twilight Zone episodes no good with dummies and dolls and Twilight Zone.
That's right.
And we got a. This is pretty neat looking. You know, you don't usually see that kind of detail in the skulls and the zombies unless it's like an EC. Typically, it seems like. So it was nice to see it on something else. Anything, DS?
It's cool. I mean, it's all right. It's above average. And again, for this title though, there's probably one on eBay, and it's probably like a 1.8. But if you find one in like a 5.0, man, it's a freaking gem.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's like a whole nother aspect of just collecting Golden Age or maybe even antiques in general over a certain amount of years, where you just go back far enough and finding something of nice quality is difficult enough. And then if, God forbid, it's in demand as well, then you have to pay a lot. Yeah. And then, Catwoman, it makes it a little cooler, but what the hell is going on here?
Caught them both at the beach.
I'm not sure if this is a Baker or not, but maybe.
Looks like it to me, but I'm not a Baker fan.
I don't know this exact one is or not.
I would say yes, but
he did work on this title a lot, so it most likely is.
Predominantly, this was his main. He was.
I stole boyfriends.
The hair is good. So,
Web of Evil, kind of cool, but I would guess would think it's like third tier or something. PCA.
Yeah, that one's not anything special at all.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, it's
And then I put this one in here just because we're at 955 now with the code, and like I don't know, for some reason I just in my head I think of like all those years that have gone by since Superman #1, and it seems like it'd be more than 100 issues, but it's only 100 issues.
Superman title that doesn't include Action Comics,
right? But
yeah, this is a collectible issue because it's the only other Action 1 cover, because it has Action 1 on the cover, or Superman 1 on the cover. It's the only other so there's Superman 1 and this has Superman 1 on the cover.
Yeah.
I used to have one of these. I had a CGC 1.8 of this. I like this book. This is a book that's tough to find above 4 or 5 range too.
And I think it's interesting. You think of like say Amazing Spider-Man 100, right? And you think of, what happened between whatever 64 or 63 till whenever 100 came out. Whereas you think of this, I mean, God, the world has changed so much between 39 or whatever when one came out till now. I mean, it just seemed like a lot of stuff has happened in this amount of time period.
Well, I think Spider-Man 100 came out in 77.
Really? Wow.
I got it here. It's a 15 center, so it's probably like
72,
probably 70 or 71.
71. Amazing Spider-Man. That's right. It's at 100. When is
think of all the stuff that's happened in comics from Superman 1 to 100. I mean, we just went through just one or 2 weeks worth.
Mm-hmm.
It was massive. Whereas like Spider-Man 1 through 100, I mean, what happened? Not that much.
Yeah.
And then I usually stop at 50. Since it was this month, I just had to pull in a 56er just to know the times are changing, and we're gonna get back to the superhero.
One of the best books if you could find one with solid reds.
I love it.
No problem. Solid reds are the hardest part about this book.
Great book.
Yeah, I want one of these investment piece because I think it's such a cool book, but I feel like it's overpriced right now. But I would pick one of these up to hold for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But maybe they're tough to find, and when they come up, man, they go nuts.
I had one, and it was restored, and I don't know. It just, sometimes you get a book with defects and you think it's okay, but sometimes you get a defect which you might think doesn't bother you, but then like you just can't stop looking at it. Well, this was one of those, and I was like, I gotta get rid of this. But I was really surprised, like the inside, like the interior. I read it, and it's solid. It's great. I mean, that story is great. I mean, not so much the turtle one, but in the origin story, is great. I love it. I mean, the artwork is great. Carmine
That was just like Carmine Infantino.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, and that's 5 years before FF1.
Yeah.
I mean,
consider this one. They consider this the first Silver Age book.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. So, do we have anything they want to sign out before we go?
Nope.
We also hope everybody. Thank you all for sticking with us. We had a great time. See you again. Thank you all for being a friend.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
See you.